So, alright, so first and foremost, I give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakodash. We say double and apostle and letter great most and rubel, our teachers, our apostles in truth, and we see salutations to the Akim, so they push you with no truth and sincerity, day in and day out, and constantly in season on season, we see Shalom. Once again, going into a video here and touching upon some news. Now, this is some news that has been coming out for the past, I believe, 2 days, 3 days, most likely. I believe 2 days. It has become a more global thing, But I was reading it in the news. I believe I have an earlier article saved from it. I believe, or I could be wrong. Right, look at it. So this was 3 days ago. So I saved it. Was to do a video on it, right? And waiting to see some more news. But over the past day, it's become a more viral talked about situation, right? So this was it here 3 days ago. It said 3 dead as virus breaks out on Atlantic cruise ship. Now when they go up here, outbreak news, it say hantavirus case confirmed in Switzerland. Now before I want to come back to this one here, but I want to read some other news from that particular thing, then to touch back what happened, that case in Switzerland, right? It's a break-in, 23 hantavirus cruise passengers return home to all corners, including to the US, and one is already sick. Now pay attention to what's happening. You see, when you read this here, 3 died due to the virus. Now you're hearing that they left, and now you're hearing one is already sick, that already left and went home. And they were saying that this thing is basically contagious, right? Human to human, right? Now, let me just go on a little bit, right? So the outbreak news, this is a good page, if you want news on certain things happening worldwide. But there is more touch upon viral illnesses, virus sicknesses, different things happening around the world. Now, before I read more, I like to go into the scripture here. This is the book of Matthew chapter 24, and I will read from verse 3. It says, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And there's a question. Tell us the signs of thy coming and the end of the world. It says, and Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Mashiach, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. This yesterday, I went touching. I did a video talking about how everyone is talking about, things is getting worse. And we at the end. It's talk about the perilous times and all these things, right? And the scriptures mention, evil shall increase. Right, so much more that evil shall increase, and that is what we're seeing. So things it gain worse as the the second Ezra mentioned that it said the end is being made manifest, and how you seeing it is through the signs, the things, because it say what, and remember the disciples, they asked about signs. That way it tell us, when shall these things be, right, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world. Right, and we're seeing these signs happening. Right now, if you talk to someone that's actually, that's in the news, I'm watching, right? Who, let me just say, talking to someone who not in the truth, they will tell you we are the end of times. You're actually hearing these young people saying it as well. Say because of what the things that are happening worldwide. The scriptures not mention. Let's say, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of war. This is what we hearing. You turn on the news, that is where you're hearing. I now reach home from work, right? And coming home from work, coming in a vehicle, hearing on the radio, what they was talking about, how worse things are getting. The crime situation here, things happening around the world, that is what they're talking about. Because everyone's seeing it's only getting worse and not better, right? So it's saying, ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet, and the end is not yet, because this is just the beginning. Things are going to get worse and worse and worse. To the fact where, it have a statement, Jake like to say, I can't breathe. talking about so much of things, happening to them that they can't breathe. And that's what it's going to be. Right? You turn one way, you turn one direction, you see famine. You turn one direction, you see war. You turn one direction, you see pestilence. You turn one direction, you see something else. Uproars and all these things. And the scriptures mention, hey, these are things that happen at the end. Signs. The signs are playing out right before our eyes. Right? So before I go down on the scripture, let me read this here. See, here we go. It's been revealed 23 hantavirus cruise passengers return home to all corners of the world, including the United States, and one is already critically ill. So we just read that. And the thing about it is this, is that they're saying that the hantavirus, it started in Argentina, right? Argentina first. Now you're hearing that it have a case where? In Switzerland. It said just in Switzerland reports hantavirus case in man who recently traveled on Honduras cruise ship. So this me this is my next case, right, from my next ship. So you see it's spreading, and just like we remember, if you could recall, what happened in 2020. You remember it started on one thing and then it jumped. Then you hear, I remember the saying that the first case was somebody in Sweden or something like that. Then you hear it in another place, and hey, this is all the plan our Esau the wicked, right? Because they were always mentioning that another demic is on its way. Rather, it could be anything, as a matter of fact. But we know that they were mentioning things for years. And this one could be worse than the other, and more restrictions and all these things, Hey, the devil is on the move, right? So let's go back to here now. Let's say, so let's read some of the comments on this post here. So this person says she wasn't the only passenger who got off the ship in St. Helena. She and other passengers took flights off the island to return to their home countries. It's a case 2, an adult female who was close contact of case 1 went ashore at St. Helena on 24 April 2026 with gastrointestinal symptoms. She subsequently deteriorated during a flight in Johannesburg, South Africa on 25th. She later died upon arrival at the emergency department on 26 April. On 4th May, the case was subsequently confirmed by PCR with hantavirus infection. Contact tracing for passengers on the flight has been initiated. So now they're track back all these people, right? They say 4-hour flight, right? So this person is sharing more information about what thing. And hey, just like that, remember how it went. It say all 17 passengers are still in the MV Honduras and have not returned home. Reports of passengers returning on the U.S. are inaccurate. One Swiss passenger who disembarked earlier tested positive. So we will see. We see not shown on X, so that means this community note was removed. Wow. Right? Wow. Well, it doesn't spread human to human, so who gives a F? But we're not reading that it does. So this person mark, it is the strain that does jump from human to yes, so it is, right? It is. Right? So going back into the scripture here now. It says verse 7, it says, for nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences. And what? And pestilences. Let's just look up the word pestilence. Right? Pestilence. It says pestilence is a fatal and contagious or infectious epidemic disease that spreads rapidly. Now, let me just go into the concordance, my sword. Why this thing doing this for, man? Alright, this one. Just checking something here. Nope. Why? Right. Sorry about that. Alright, so go into now. Let me go to Matthew pestilences, right? It's a plague, a pest, right? It's a strong definition of uncertain affinity. A plague, literally the disease, or figuratively a pestilence, right? So a disease, a plague. So that when you look it up on Google, it's a pestilence. It's a pestilence is a fatal, contagious, or infectious epidemic disease that spreads rapidly. Often specifically referring to the bubonic plague, it represents a devastating plague pandemic or a destructive evil influence. Or a destructive evil influence, right? Hey. Hey. It's a common synonyms including plague, scourge, epidemic, contagion, and a pest. Right, so going back to the script here, Matthew 24. It's a for nations shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places, and all these are the beginning of sorrows. That's all these is just what? The beginning. You know, this is just the beginning, and it's going to get worse because we've seen it getting worse and worse. Right? This is just the start, man. Right? This is just the start. It just going to increase, you know, the picture. When you read Matthew 24:7, I talk about nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, famines, pestilence, earthquakes. Picture that kind of scenario in the head. You know, he sort of show it in the movies. When one thing happening, another thing happening. This, you run from this thing here, crazy, right? So that's tell you how bad it's going to be. And the scripture say all these are the beginning of, so this is just what? The beginning. So going on a little bit, say the timeline suspect initial infection around March 20th, first on board death, April 11th, secondary cases emerging weeks later. Recognition of the full outbreak only after multiple international movements had already occurred. Multiple international movements already occurred, so that means they already spread out. It said getting reports that the CDC is activating emergency operations center for the cruise ship. All right, so you're seeing all these things now. Hey, we know it could happen. We know he saw propaganda and so forth, but it goes to show. Sorry, there's closing of these things here, so it won't turn up on the screen. But it goes to show that hey, there's a lot of stuff happening right now. A lot, right? Shit's popping off. Right, so with that, once again, I give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Kakadash. We say that was apostle and elders, great most and rule, our teachers, our apostles in truth, and we say salutations, so the Akim, we say the push with our truth and sincerity, day in and day out, and constantly in season or the season, we say Shalom.